I don't know if Stugotz saw one of these stories from this weekend locally, but I had been wondering, and this was something I thought that was being said around here awfully coldly last year. As we got ratcheted up on all things Dolphins, Stugotz, I was under the impression that the team was built to be elite at pass rush and elite in the secondary. And we and everyone else, a lot of other shows, were mentioning, well, they were counting on Byron Jones. They're paying Byron Jones a lot of money. Xavier Howard noticed how much Byron Jones was making. Byron Jones is really important to everything the Dolphins are doing. He's not available. He's not talking. Where is he? What happened? What's the plan? And then this weekend, Byron Jones says, I can't run, says it on Twitter. I can't jump. Don't take any of the pills they tell you to take. Don't take any of the injections they tell you to take. And I hadn't heard that from that dude in any way in a really long time. He was super important to things the Dolphins were doing. He became invisible as soon as he was injured. And now he says, oh, wait a minute. This sport and everybody bleeped me up. I can't run and I can't jump. I didn't know that was so about Byron Jones. I was expecting him to be great next year. I was expecting him to be like great last year. I saw him be great the year before that. The hell happened?
Football. I mean, football happened. He's injured. And I think the shocking thing about Byron Jones and what he's doing and what he's saying is he's actually lending a voice. Hey, the things that allow me to get back on the field every Sunday to play this game, don't take them. Don't take those things. I don't hear players saying that. I hear players saying it's a deli line to get that stuff so they can play.
So this is what happened on Twitter. Dan paraphrased, but it was a part of a string, and he was retweeting the NFL bragging about his broad jump in the combine because it's combine week. And he retweeted with comment, much has changed in 8 years. Today, I can't run or jump because of my injury sustained playing the game. Do not, in caps, take the pills they give you. Do not, once again in caps, take the injections they give you. If you absolutely must, consult an outside doctor to learn about the long-term implications. And then he followed that comment up with, it was an honor and a privilege to play in the NFL, but it came at a regrettable cost I did not foresee. In my opinion, no amount of professional success or financial gain is worth avoidable chronic pain and disabilities. Godspeed to the draft class of 2023.
Reporters have reached out, and he has said he's not retiring. That's not him announcing to everybody that he's retiring. But again, I thought that this was a pivotal piece as part of their future. I thought this was this would be a reason that you're paying Vic Fangio $4.5 million a year because you believe that your secondary can be elite. But without this guy, it can't be. I mean, Howard was less good last year. Holland is great, but also hurt. And Byron Jones was he's paid like a centerpiece. And I can't believe the way the dominoes fell on this, where it's silence. Where is he? Unavailable. Oh, bombshell. Doctors wrecked me.
And I think now I think part of bringing Vic Fangio in is that they have to now figure out what they're going to do without the defensive game plan they had in place for the last 2 years. Because the last 2 years, it was, we're going to run a very blitz-heavy scheme, and Xavier Howard and Byron Jones will cover all of the gaps that are left behind by us sending numbers into the blitz. And now they have to figure out a completely new way of playing defense, and that's Vic Fangio's job. To me, the interesting thing was to track, well, how was Byron Jones 2021? Because he was fine. He played very well. He was a key part of that secondary. You go back and look at that season. At one point, he was ruled out with both Achilles and groin injuries. And so what in the 2021 season were they trying to get him back on the field with? How were the Dolphins treating him? Or did this happen at the previous stop in Dallas where he was being injected with stuff that kept him going? At what point was he mistreated? And did that lead to inevitably him sitting out the 2022 season because I can't do this anymore?
He signed a 5-year, $82.5 million contract, 57 of it guaranteed.
Xavier Howard noticed it right away, and they redid his deal because of it, because Howard was supposed to be the better corner. I just will ask the audience again, because I haven't seen a whole lot like it. We covered the holy hell out of this team this year. How does this happen quietly? Like, he's kind of important. And we just shrugged.
The quarterback was constantly getting concussion issues and kind of became like the talk of the league. Should he be playing or not? And
I mean, we talked a little bit about his absence and how the Dolphins defense was getting crushed at one point when a centerpiece of their strategy was gone. But the idea that it was because they mistreated him or because he was being asked to take injections that he didn't want to take or that the injury was more severe than we even realized, it kind of reminds of what's going on right now with Lonzo Ball with the Chicago Bulls, where he can't even run. And he had like a knee procedure that was supposed to keep him out for 3 weeks, and he's missed a year.
To me, this is just the Neil Brennan thing. Football thing happens to football player. I mean, is this even a story? I'm sure every team in the league has a player who's just got injuries now and can't walk without pain, and it sucks for him. I'm not dismissing it, but it's just, is this even news? It's just this game hurts, and one guy right now on your team is going to end up with chronic pain, and it sucks.
You're saying, is it news that a centerpiece of your franchise is saying don't trust the doctors, don't trust the teams? Well,
he's just frustrated. I just think he's frustrated. He's like, man, I've been hurt for a year. I want to be back, and I'm still in pain. Like, I don't know what the response is. I don't know how do we fix this? It's just football. Like, it's going to happen to somebody. It just sucks for the Dolphins. It's a key piece.
But there's a disconnect between you, the fan, the customer, and pain. A guy is telling you that they all want to get back on the field for you, for money, blah, 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 blah. And this one's telling you, who was paid a lot of money, he got his guaranteed money.
$57 million.
He got his money. He's still telling you not worth it. He ain't even old yet. I think there is a disconnect on how much pain these people endure. And you guys make fun of me all the time for, well, they made the choice. And I'm like, it's inhumane. They made the choice. Well, he didn't know the choice he was making because he's telling you right now. And you can question it, Stugotz. You could say, oh, he wouldn't give back that money. Maybe he wouldn't. But he's got a lot more years of whatever it is that he's enduring right now, and he's already telling you out loud. You don't think it's news? Man, you're numb to the pain of these people if you don't think it's news for that guy making that money to tell you, I'm in too much pain, it wasn't worth it.
I mean, he's 30 years old, and he does have enough guaranteed money where if he stopped today, he'd be fine for the remainder of his life.
Well, fine if you think it's fine to have pain the remainder of your life.
Correct, yes. He's also not retiring, which makes the story even stranger.
Well, he's got probably more money that he's owed whether he can play or not. And I just think there is a disconnect between how much we love this thing, and I think he's unusual in saying it out loud that way, but I think a lot of these guys are just now realizing, as there's more and more information, what it is that money pays for.
We had Sam Shields on South Beach Sessions a few months ago, and he was the first person I've ever heard give voice to, don't do this. I wouldn't do it again. What it takes is not worth it, and this is the second. Well, he's not even saying, I don't think football is worth it. He's saying the injections aren't worth it and the long-term effects of that. Maybe he's saying go about alternate ways of trying to heal yourself or quiet the pain rather than the Toradol shots. But I don't think he's even saying that football did this. He's just saying that don't take the pain shots. They could ruin your life. But I think that it would really take a critical mass exodus of top-level players leaving the game for, I think, anyone to really stop and go, wait, hang on a second, what are we doing? I mean, maybe our government leaders, but I imagine how politically unpopular it would be if government leaders, let's do an investigation into football and see if we should stop this.
How mass does the exodus have to be? Because you do have more players than ever retiring early.
Right.
Andrew Luck included.
But there's enough great players to produce a great product every Sunday that don't and actively sort of spit in the face of that whole notion, oh, I'm going to retire. No, I'm tough. I'm going to do this.
But it's rare to hear because we've had countless players on this show throughout the years, Jason Taylor included, saying, yeah, I'd sign up and do it all over again. All of it. The shots, everything. Every single aspect of it. And so it's weird. It's odd to hear a guy say, hey, don't take that stuff.
Well, he's still under contract is the other thing. It's not like he's saying it from retirement or the beyond or another team.
Yeah, he's probably financially incentivized to not say that he's retiring. Because if he says that he's retiring, then it's less money.
I think this goes hand in hand with the Tua conversation all season. It's the way the NFL deals with injuries and puts players back on the field. We watched Patrick Mahomes play a Super Bowl this year with a fractured high ankle sprain. And I think on the media's part, maybe we shouldn't glorify a player being tough and going back out there after getting injections at halftime
Well,
because
Stugotz wouldn't glorify him. Stugotz was ripping him for milking it.
I did glorify him though. Like that was incredibly impressive.
and again, it's his choice if that's what he wants to do. And I think hearing the other side is important. It's not the best thing for every player, especially players that have seen the ugly side of it. I think it's important to hear both sides of it. And I don't know if there's an answer other than the way that we, evaluate players with injuries from a media standpoint should be a little bit more understanding than like, we were just talking about a basketball player who didn't play this weekend and fans calling him soft. Like, we don't know what that person is going through. We don't know what they've done to their bodies to try to get ready to play in a game.
Yeah, we've seen it with Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Lamar Jackson gets hit with all sorts of criticism, and Patrick Mahomes gets elevated to, that's what your franchise quarterback does, even though there's a stark difference in that one got his big contract, the other one's trying to secure that bag.
I also think it's the point being made about seeing an independent doctor is a really important one, because if you're just listening to the team doctor and the team trainers, those people are paid by your club and by the NFL. They have
incentivized to get you back on the field.
Of course. I think it's important for an ex-player or current player to say, hey, know your options. Get a second opinion. It's not easy for everyone. I'm sure it's not, endorsed by your team. But if that is something you care about, it's super important to see all the angles of it.
It's hard to do, though, because I do remember my original agent played for the Dolphins and went up against Jimmy Johnson in what he deemed to be cruelties that were being thrust upon the players in practices. And then he publicly criticized it, and the practices got harder. It's a real hard situation.
And then his teammates hated him.
That's correct.
Yes.
It's a real difficult situation when the entire construct of the machine is incentivized to feed the machine. But in keeping with what you were saying, Jessica, we don't know what these guys are going through.